You're listening to Off the Platform, a podcast from New Hope Church. My name is Dan Waun, the comms guy here at the church. And this week we are again joined by Pastor Mark as we preview Daniel chapter 10. We are previewing rather than reviewing because last Sunday we lost power and we didn't have church. So we're just going to look ahead at what Pastor will be talking about this Sunday. Daniel 10 is another fascinating look into one of his visions he receives from the heavenly realms. He's encountering an angelic being, maybe a pre-incarnate Christ. We'll talk about that. Spiritual warfare, our prayer lives, and God's patience with us. And we dab into a little bit of our personal lives, what we like to do in our off time. So all this and more in the next episode of Off the Platform. Welcome to Off the Platform, a podcast from New Hope Church. It's episode 2. We made it. Welcome, Pastor Mark.
Thanks. Hey, you did that 2 weeks in a row now, the welcome thing. So we should record that, guys. That'd be good. They already are.
Yeah. So, how'd you enjoy your 4th of July weekend?
Good. Unexpected with that storm that went through and unable to have church because of the power outage.
Yeah.
And made for a 4-day weekend for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people had that already, but
right.
I got to have a 4-day weekend, so unanticipated. So that was kind of cool in the sense that hanging out with family time. It was nice. And then some twins entered our world. So
yeah, a couple more arrows in the quiver.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, here they are. And daughter-in-law definitely ready to have that one behind her. And Derek's very excited to have twins. So and Kristen. So yeah, we're thrilled.
Excellent. Yeah. Are you guys a big fireworks family, setting them off in the yard and so forth? No.
No, never have done that. Our neighbors do, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to really delight in doing bigger shows every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not either. We'll just go to an organized one that, some city government
throws
off.
That's typically what we would do, too.
Yeah.
Didn't this year, but last year. Sat outside and watched a nice city show.
Yeah.
So.
Well, some of the feedback we got from last episode was people want to know a little bit more about us.
Okay.
So what do you like to do in your free time, Pastor Mark? Such as free time.
There is no free time. I enjoy the outdoors a lot. So if we can go hiking or kayaking or, in my case, fishing, Lori and I like to go for walks in the evenings. Definitely spending time outdoors. It's going to be pretty high on the agenda.
Yeah.
If it's rainy days, probably find me with a book or working on some project inside the house. But woodworking, something I enjoy doing. That's good stress relief. So I've always enjoyed carpentry work and learned that from my grandfather. So woodworking's pretty high up there. I just don't get to do enough of it.
Yeah.
Occasionally get to go hunting, fishing, like I said, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
These days, mostly just hanging out with my kids. Got a almost 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and just trying to keep them active and occupied. And like to talk theology with my wife a lot when we just the two of us sitting around. And
what's that like?
It's good. It's a really good. It's like the iron sharpening iron that we hear about.
She's pulling out the commentaries at night.
Oh yeah. And she's a lot smarter than me, so that really
that's true.
Challenges.
I have talked to Sarah. She is smarter than you.
Yeah. So that's good. It really helps to form your spiritual formation and growth. So I enjoy that, and also like to fly fish. We typically go once a year up to the Osable and do that. So
you do the south branch of the Osabo?
Main branch.
Yep. Okay. I kayak the south branch a fair amount.
Yeah.
A few years back, Derek and I and Adam, our son who lives in South Carolina, did a rescue on that river.
No kidding.
Yeah, a lady who had flipped her kayak in November. Ooh. And she was all by herself. Nobody knew she was back there, and she was stranded on the wrong side of the river. And her kayak was at the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
And she was in her 70s.
Oh, man.
And it was already 42 degrees, and it was dropping below 30 that night. We came across her about 3 in the afternoon, and Adam and I and Derek got her across to one side of the river, and Derek ran literally 3 miles, I think, to get to a place where he could get cell phone coverage, so he could call 911 and bring in the state police to rescue her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about divine
Sorry, I went
intervention.
off on a rabbit trail
No,
there.
that's fascinating and just a divine appointment at that time.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, as Pastor Mark said, we did not get to start chapter 10 this past Sunday from the power outage, so we're going to shift and do a little preview for this Sunday's message. Daniel chapter 10.
Yeah.
It's another of his visions.
It is. You know, when I was first discussing with Rich Bruce way back 4 years ago about doing the E2E series, I had in my mind, I can't wait till we get to Daniel. And I had in my mind, I can't wait till we get to Daniel chapter 10, because probably among one of the most fascinating chapters in my mind in much of the Bible. Genesis 6, the flood story. Genesis 18, 19, what God did at Sodom. You could look at a lot of events throughout Scripture and find them all fascinating. But when you get to Daniel chapter 10 and you get the descriptions that are going on there, otherworldly, the unseen realm component, pretty amazing descriptions within that. So I'm excited for people to see how descriptive the Scriptures can be. To get the image painted in our mind of heavenly beings. A lot of debate over, is this Jesus that we're looking at, or is this an angel? And there's several ways of looking at it, so we'll explore that this coming weekend. But then the element of spiritual warfare and the heavenly being saying, I was in a battle, otherwise I would have come earlier, Daniel. And the battle delayed me 21 days. Okay, what is that about? Are we talking swords?
Right.
I don't know what the wrestling match looks like, and yet it says I was delayed 21 days. However, the angel or the being or the messenger said, I was dispatched on the day that you began praying. And so the reminder for us in the midst of prayer that just because we don't get an immediate response from God doesn't mean that God isn't attending to the request, but for the messenger to say, I was sent, however, I was delayed in delivering it. What's that about? That God's message could be delayed. I'm very curious about that one. So we're going to explore that a little bit this week too.
Great. Wow. That's, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
So what do you think then it means to dedicate oneself to seeking God's guidance during times of personal struggle, which kind of relates to this chapter?
What do I think it means?
Yeah, in terms of the delay and the patience of God. And
when you mention the patience of God, it reminds me of the patience of Daniel. So our expectation is that we should be able to reflect back at least some element. If God's going to be patient with us, and He is, should we not be able to be patient with waiting on what God's doing? I say that knowing that as a flawed human, I'm not patient. And I'm yet compelled to be patient when I see somebody like Daniel waiting all those years. And I know he's in the 70-year thing, like, come on, 70 years, and it's time to restore the nation. And we already saw in chapter 9 how he's pleading with God to restore the nation, and we've done our time. Now it's time for justice to take place. Can't we get things going? But as you dive into chapter 10, what you find is God did do what God said He would do. He moved Cyrus's heart to issue a decree. I think it's Cyrus, the first one, and then there's subsequent decrees. Darius later issues another decree, but let's go with that first decree to rebuild the temple. Since he issues the decree and he opens up the vault to let all the money out, and he says, you guys can go back and begin doing this, you would naturally think if you've waited 70 years, people are going to jump in and say, okay, it's time to go. Now, I had that same suspicion when we went through COVID in 2020.
Yeah.
Because, we went 14 weeks without being able to do services. So I thought once we open up the doors of the church, people are just going to flood back in because 14 weeks with doing home video kind of thing, that gets old. But that wasn't the case. It was slow, a slow rebuild. Well, Daniel's looking at a very slow response. There's only 49,000 people that go with Cyrus's first decree. And they go back to Jerusalem, and that's just a fraction of a percentage of the population. And so Daniel's got that to be discouraged about, because now they can go. The 70-year thing is over, and they aren't going. So how frustrating would that be if you've been praying, you've been fasting, you've been wanting, and nobody's acting on it?
Comfortable captivity.
Yeah, I think that's what you're looking at there. They were very comfortable in the life that they had. And plus, the people that went back to Jerusalem are getting a really hard time. They've given them grief. The Samaritans are back in the city. And as they try and rebuild the city, the union locals are giving them a hard time about getting a permit.
Nice. Yeah. So how can we better understand the reality of spiritual warfare in light of chapter 10, even though in our daily lives we can't see it happening?
The spiritual warfare is one of the most forgotten about elements of the walk of a Christ follower. So you find Paul writing in Ephesians 6, we argue not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Because my temptation is to think that human is the reason for my struggle. Where Paul's correcting us and saying that's not what your real struggle is. Your real struggle is against a higher authority that's coming up against you, and that's the angel's point. I was coming to you, Daniel. 21 days I've been trying to come to you. So we forget about the spiritual warfare aspect. So what I've done with chapter 10 is I've broken it down into some sections, because we've got the image of this heavenly being, but we've also got the role of spiritual warfare going on. And we've got the role of what our angel's doing in our lives. But then we've also got the aspect of the role of prayer in our own lives. What's my role in this? So those things are all going on in chapter 10. And that's one of the reasons I was excited to get to that passage. So in terms of your question, the spiritual warfare aspect is present, and Scripture has to clarify for us that there's two realms going on. There's the realm in which I see you, I see your microphone, I see the production guys here in the room. But there's a realm going on right now, according to Scripture, that we can't even see, that is also physically present, yet unseen by us. And that other realm should be treated as though it's there. So it's only a few times, though, in Scripture where somebody's eyes are opened up to the degree where they can see that. Like 2 Kings, when Elisha says, God, would you open up his eyes so he can see the chariots of fire that are here for his servant, right? You're familiar with that story.
Sure.
So you get a few instances like that where the unseen realm becomes seen, but it's really only by individuals whose hearts are prepared to take in what's going on.
Do you think that it's possible for a believer in this day to have such access to see such things via God?
Only if God chooses. Yeah, that's way above my pay grade. There's instances I think we've all had in our lives where something that we cannot explain intervened, interceded, or interrupted. And I'm just using those eyes off the top of my head here. But the intervene part where something prevented me from being damaged in a way that I might have been damaged. There's also the interrupted, though, where something went wrong of no fault of my own. And I could not explain it and still can't to this day. I'm sure you've had those instances too. Will eternity reveal to us what those things were? I hope so, because I'm curious. I'd like to know.
Yeah, go shake a guy's hand or something.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guy almost creamed me going through a four-way stop 2 years ago. And I was in the right of way, so I was about to pull out. I looked to the left, and as I'm accelerating, because I'd already looked to the right, I heard what I thought was an audible stop, really loud. I don't know where it came from, but I looked to the right in that flash, and the guy went blowing through the four-way stop, and he was moving at 60. So I would have been T-boned in that moment.
Right.
Was that an intervention? I don't know. I'll ask the Lord one day, or be looking for that angel that yelled stop. So I'm going to go with that reality that God intervenes at times where we would otherwise get taken off the rails.
Yeah, I believe that too. Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you would like to talk about in preview of this Sunday's message before we sign off?
I'd encourage individuals to, as we always do, we come with a sense of anticipation that God's going to show us something from His Word. But there's definitely a sense of expectation. If you've never spent time in Daniel chapter 10 or exploring what does it mean to be eyes wide open about things in the spiritual realm that are unseen. I think that's why Michael Heiser's book did so well when he wrote about the unseen realm, because there's some fascinating elements to that we do not understand. We'll only be able to scratch the surface this coming weekend and the following weekend as we dive deeper into these things, but it's enough to whet the appetite and cause individuals to say, okay, am I being serious enough about my prayer life? Am I being serious enough about realizing this is a spiritual battle? And Paul's admonition in Ephesians, we argue not against flesh and blood, is something we should take more seriously because we often get so focused on the division around us among the humans, we miss what the source of the division really is, and it's coming from the spiritual realm.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Much to look forward to. And thank you all for listening to this episode of Off the Platform. We'll see you next time.